Who are the villains in Spider Noir? Most people know the Green Goblin. Most people know Dr. Octopus. But the villains inside Spider Noir, they went deeper into the comics than any Spider-Man project has ever dared to go. And the result is the #1 show on Prime Video right now, trending in over 50 countries. So today, we're breaking down every villain in Spider Noir, where they came from, what they can do, and why the big one, Silvermane, might be the most fascinating Spider-Man villain you've never heard of. Stay till the end, because this man went from Mafia Don to a man obsessed with living forever to a literal cyborg. And that's just the comics. Let's get into it. Before we get to the villains, here's what you need to know about the world of Spider Noir. This isn't Peter Parker, this is Ben Reilly, an aging, down-on-his-luck private investigator in 1930s New York City who used to be the city's only superhero, the Spider. Nicolas Cage plays him, and if you've seen Into the Spider-Verse, you already know Cage voiced this character. Gravel voice, detective hat, black and white world. Now he's got a full live-action series, and it is absolutely dripping in atmosphere. The tagline alone tells you everything. With no power comes no responsibility.
Well, she was the greatest responsibility I ever had. And I failed her. The Spider failed her.
A direct flip of the most famous Spider-Man line ever written. Now, the villains in this show aren't your usual suspects.
No Green Goblin, no Kingpin. The creators went deep into Marvel's back catalogue and pulled out a rogues gallery perfectly built for a 1930s crime noir world. Here's every single one of them. This man has been younger than a baby, older than death, and came back as a robot. And somehow, he's still the scariest person in the room. Let's start with the big one, Silvermane. Played by the legendary Brendan Gleeson, the same man who played Mad-Eye Moody in Harry Potter, and in Spider Noir, he is terrifying. In the show, his name is Finbar Byrne, an Irish mob kingpin who owns New York. Not just the streets, the police, the politicians. Every corner of power in the city bends to this man's will during Prohibition. He's not just a crime boss, he's the entire system. But here's where it gets fascinating, because in the comics, this character has one of the wildest histories in all of Marvel. His name in the comics is Silvio Manfredi. Born in Corleone, Sicily, and yes, Stan Lee literally based him on The Godfather, which had just been published the same year Silvermane first appeared in 1969 in The Amazing Spider-Man number 73. He earned the nickname Silvermane because his hair turned silver white by the time he was in his 40s. Even as a young man, that mane set him apart. It became his identity, his brand, his warning to anyone thinking of crossing him. He started as a low-level racketeer in the Maggia, Marvel's version of the Italian mafia, and he clawed his way to the top through sheer cunning and ruthlessness. No superpowers, no tech. Just a mind sharp enough to outmaneuver everyone around him, and a will cold enough to bury them when they got in his way. By the time Spider-Man crossed paths with him, Silvermane wasn't just a crime boss, he was the crime boss. A rival to the Kingpin himself. The man other mobsters whispered about.
We lost the shipment.
But then the obsession started. As Silvermane aged, he became consumed by a single fear: death. Not the death of his enemies, his own. This powerful, feared man who controlled everything couldn't control the one thing that mattered most. Time was eating him alive. So he went looking for a solution. He discovered an ancient clay tablet, the Tablet of Time, believed to hold a formula for eternal youth. He kidnapped Dr. Curt Connors, better known as the Lizard, and forced him to synthesize a serum from it. The serum worked. Silvermane drank it and watched decades fall away from his body. He became younger before everyone's eyes, a man in his 40s, then his 30s, then his 20s. And then it kept going. He became a teenager, then a child, then an infant, then nothing. He de-aged himself completely out of existence, disappearing into thin air on the page in one of the most haunting panels in Spider-Man history. Careful what you wish for. But this is Marvel Comics, nobody stays dead. Silvermane came back. Somehow, mystically, he'd aged himself back to his 40s and resumed control of his empire. He became Supreme Hydra for a time, trying to merge the Maggia with the terrorist organization Hydra and take over the world. Daredevil, Nick Fury, and S.H.I.E.L.D. had to step in to stop him. He fought the Green Goblin in a citywide gang war. He battled Spider-Man across rooftops. He tried to assassinate the Kingpin. And then Cloak and Dagger gave him a heart attack. His doctors, knowing it was coming, had a contingency plan. They transferred Silvermane's brain into a robotic body. Not a simple machine, a powerful, armored cyborg. And, unlike most men who'd be horrified at the thought, Silvermane loved it. The cyborg body gave him exactly what he'd always chased: strength, resilience, a form that wouldn't age or rot. He came back stronger, stranger, and angrier than ever. In Spider Noir, the show strips away the sci-fi and mysticism and gives you the core of this character. A man so obsessed with power and survival that he's bent an entire city to his will. Brendan Gleeson plays him with pure theatrical menace. No superpowers, no cyborg body. Just a man who built himself into an institution. And that, honestly, might be even scarier.
Like and subscribe for more intriguing content.
You've seen Sandman before, but this version fought in World War I and had his powers carved into him by German scientists. This isn't a beach vacation, this is a war crime. Sandman is one of the most recognizable names in Spider-Man's rogues gallery. You've seen him in the Sam Raimi films, you've seen him in No Way Home. But the Spider Noir version of Flint Marko, played by Jack Houston, hits very differently. In the comics, Flint Marko gains his power to transform into sand after stumbling into a nuclear test site during an escape from prison. Radioactive sand particles fuse with his body on a molecular level, and suddenly the man can become sand, control sand, grow to enormous size, and absorb any physical attack like it's nothing. In Spider Noir, the show grounds his origin in WWI. Marko was a soldier captured behind enemy lines, subjected to brutal experiments by German scientists. He comes out the other side changed, able to shift his body into sand at will. Now he's Silvermane's right-hand enforcer, his most trusted weapon. And if you watch the trailers, you already saw him punch Ben Reilly clean off a skyscraper with a fist made of solid sand. Jack Houston is perfectly cast here. Fans of Boardwalk Empire will recognize him immediately as Richard Harrow, a quiet, dangerous man who does terrible things with total calm.
Same energy. Here's something wild. Tombstone is also showing up in the MCU Spider-Man. Brand new day just 2 months after Spider Noir drops. You're about to see this villain twice in the same summer. Learn him now. Tombstone has been a Spider-Man villain since 1987, and yet, until this year, he'd never appeared in live action. That changes in a huge way in 2026, with 2 separate versions of the character arriving 2 months apart. His real name is Lonnie Lincoln. In the comics, he was ostracized for his albinism, white skin, white hair, filed teeth. He became an enforcer, and after exposure to a chemical called Diox-3, his skin hardened to the density of solid cement. He is literally bulletproof. In Spider Noir, his origin is once again tied to World War I experiments. He's another soldier who came home changed, and while he works within Silvermane's orbit, he's not pure evil. His complicated history with Robbie Robertson, the journalist played by Lamorne Morris, gives him real emotional depth. There's more good in this man than he lets anyone believe. When he first appeared in the trailers, everyone thought this was Electro. It's not. And the real character is actually more interesting. When Dirk Layden first shows up in Spider Noir, it's easy to think you're looking at Electro, the iconic Spider-Man villain who can conduct electricity through his body. The visual language is almost identical. But Dirk Layden is Megawatt, a far lesser-known character from the Marvel Comics world, here given a full, grounded live-action treatment for the first time. Where Electro is usually portrayed as impulsive and emotionally volatile, Megawatt operates inside Silvermane's organization with cold precision. He's a tool of the mob with the power to electrocute anything or anyone in his path. The casting of Andrew Lewis Caldwell brings an interesting tension to the character, because physically, he doesn't read as a typical powerhouse villain. That contrast between appearance and devastation, that's very Spider Noir. This character doesn't exist in the comics. Spider Noir created him from scratch, and his powers are giving serious molten man energy. Jimmy Addison, played by Jack Mikesell, is one of the few completely original characters in Spider Noir, not pulled from the comics, built specifically for this show's world. His power is pyrokinesis, fire control. And in a story already filled with sand, stone-hard skin, and electricity, adding fire to the equation creates a very particular kind of escalation. What's interesting about Jimmy's inclusion is what it says about Spider Noir's creative vision. This show isn't just adapting the comics, it's building its own mythology. If there's a season 2, Jimmy Addison could evolve into something much larger. What if Spider-Man's mutation went wrong? That's Man-Spider. And the show hasn't fully explained who he is yet, which makes him the most mysterious thing in the series. In the trailers, there's a figure, half man, half spider, that Prime Video never officially confirmed. The internet went wild trying to identify it. Most fans believe it's Man-Spider, a character from the comics that represents what happens when the spider mutation takes over completely. Where Ben Reilly controls his powers, Man-Spider is what's left when the human loses that fight. It's a dark mirror, a warning, and the timing is wild, because this same transformation is rumored to appear in Spider-Man, Brand New Day with Tom Holland just 2 months later. The show leaves him deliberately vague. And that mystery might be its most powerful storytelling choice. Here's the real twist. Every single villain in this show, except one, can be traced back to a war. A world war. Think about that. Silvermane built his empire in the gaps that war left behind. Sandman, Tombstone, soldiers who came home broken and dangerous. Spider Noir isn't just a superhero show. It's a story about what war does to people. So that's the full rogues gallery of Spider Noir, Silvermane, Sandman, Tombstone, Megawatt, Jimmy Addison, and the mystery of Man-Spider. What makes this villain lineup special isn't just the powers or the costumes, it's the context. These aren't random evil men. They're products of a broken era. The Great Depression, Prohibition, the long shadow of World War I. Every one of them was shaped by a world that chewed people up and spat them out, and they decided to chew back. Silvermane is the most extreme version of that. A man who watched everything around him decay and decided, not me. He would outlive all of it, by any means necessary, and Brendan Gleeson makes you believe he just might. If you're watching Spider Noir right now, drop a comment telling me which villain you think is the most dangerous. And if you haven't started it yet, after this video, you have no excuse. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.